Hello everybody, it's Gary Halacan here, and today we're looking at another building kit that I got for Christmas. And this one is pretty unique because it's not a car this time. This one is actually a truck. So as you can see here, this is going to be one of those classic Japanese K trucks or light duty trucks, right? And there's a lot of different ones this could be, right? There are a lot of different models of this truck. Mitsubishi, Honda, Mazda, Suzuki, right? They all pretty much made basically identical versions of this truck. So I guess you can just decide whichever one you like the best and say that it's that one, because there aren't any markings on it, it looks like, and it doesn't come with any stickers to give it any markings. So it could be, just about any of those trucks. They all look pretty similar. There is also nothing anywhere on this instruction sheet to indicate what company made this. All right, so I'm not entirely sure on that. We do get a nice Ziploc bag here, I guess to hold any extra parts or anything. And this says MOC blocks brick, but that seems very generic to me, so I don't know if that is a specific company or anything like that. It also didn't come in a box or anything, just came sort of loose, like as you see it here. Looking on the instruction sheet, though, it looks like there's going to be some, rudimentary engine detail in there, but it also looks like that engine detail might get completely covered up after you build it. So I don't know, we will find out about that. Also, I have no idea what the scaling is going to be like on this one. I don't know if it's going to scale with our Speed Champions, or if it's going to be bigger, smaller, anything like that. I don't really know. So we will just have to build it and find out. Other than that, as for the kit itself, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 bags of parts if you count this bag that just has 2 wheel well pieces in it. So, and mostly in black and white, as you would expect. Okay, so I'm going to build this, and I'll come back and show you what we get. Okay, we are back with our complete K truck, and in the first part of this video, I didn't say where this one came from. As far as I know, this kit comes from AliExpress, if you want to get on there and look for one of your own. And I suggest that you do that, because even though this has a couple quality issues that I'll talk about in a little bit, I think the design and build on this kit are excellent. It's a very satisfying build, and it ends up looking really good. And it ends up looking like a really good representation of the vehicle that it's supposed to be. I feel like this kit gets a lot done with just regular pieces and regular building. There are some weird building techniques towards the end of the build, but for the most part, this is pretty straightforward stuff. There are no stickers on this one, and there are no weird shaped custom pieces or anything like that. And in addition to this great looking truck, we also get some features with it. So we do have opening doors on it. If we look right there, they're just held on at one stud, so they come off pretty easily when you try to open them. But if you look inside there, we do have some seats and a steering wheel and a gear shift. So we have some interior detail. And then if we look at the back, you can see one of the quality issues is that the pieces for the railing around the bed are much too long. And I could easily trim them off there, but I wanted to show you how they look straight out of the bag. But if these were the right length here, we would be able to open the tailgate. So you can see there we do have an opening tailgate. But the most important feature of this one is right here, which this is the only exposed stud on the entire kit. I guess if you want to count the ones at the doors, you could count those. So very, very few exposed studs. But this one right here is important because we can use this one to open the engine compartment. So I was worried that the engine detail might get completely hidden in the final build, but it is not. You can open the engine compartment and see the engine in there. So that is really nice. That's a really good feature. So we get a good looking truck that looks like the vehicle it's supposed to be, and we actually get some features with it. As for the build on this one, this took me significantly longer than a lot of other similar ones like this. This took about 2 hours to build, and it took longer for a few reasons. One of the reasons is that the pictures on the instruction sheet are very small, so you've got to look at them really closely to make sure you're getting the right parts. And one of the other reasons why this build took a little bit longer is because it's very solid. Basically, there are no empty spaces in here. It is pretty much solid bricks all the way up, except for a couple spots. Really, the only place where it's not so solid is right here on the roof of the cab. So there's no connection here at the back of the roof. So if you push down on that, it's going to snap right off. This part on the back of the cab here is not real solid either, but the entire body of the truck is completely solid, basically. And so it means there was a lot of parts going into that. There are also a lot of tiny little parts on this, especially when you get towards the end and you're building the section behind the cab and the rack on top there. The rack on top is easily the trickiest part of this whole kit. But like I said, there's a lot of tiny parts. I got down to where it looked like there weren't very many pieces left, but I still had half of the instructions left. So a lot of little tiny things to do with that. But I think the overall build is very satisfying. I think if you're into these kind of kits and the car kits, I think you will definitely enjoy the build on this. But as I mentioned, there are a couple quality issues. So there were at least 2 pieces that had pretty significant mold flashing on them. One of them was an interior piece, didn't make too much of a big deal. But the one that does make a big deal is this piece right here. So this piece is fairly misshapen, a little bit misshaped. And so it doesn't hold on very well. The real tail light here is just barely holding on, basically. If I tap on that too hard, that piece would come right off. So that is an issue, but definitely not too big of an issue to not recommend this one. The quality issues are not bad. Overall, the piece quality maybe isn't quite up to some of the other kits I've looked at, but it's not bad by any stretch, and the quality issues are definitely not bad enough to not recommend this one. I would still recommend this one. I think it's a very satisfying build. So let's look at some size comparisons next. Okay, so I said at the beginning that I had no idea how this would scale, but it ends up being really nice size. I think it ends up a little bigger than I thought it might be. And fortunately, I've got the perfect one to compare it with. Here is the Guan Racing Series Toyota AE86. You may have seen my video on that one quite a while ago. But it looks like these scale pretty well together here. These trucks are not very big, of course, not really a lot bigger than a regular car. So I think that looks pretty good. They look pretty good together there. You can see that our truck is a little bit more off-white looking, maybe. The pieces, aren't quite as bright white. They're a little bit cream colored on there on our truck. You can kind of see that, I think, a little bit as you compare these, though. But I think they look really good together. And for another black and white car, here is the Lego Speed Champions Lamborghini Countach. So your truck here, our K truck, scales just fine with our other Speed Champions cars. I think it's going to look just right with all the rest of them there. I guess this white looks to be pretty much the same color. But I think in person, the white on the truck isn't really a bright white. It's a little bit more cream white, eggshell, maybe a little bit, but just barely to the eggshell side of things. All right, so that is the K-Truck kit from an unknown company. The company might be MOC Blocks Brick. That might be the company, but it's hard to tell. But if you can find this one, this is a good one. I would recommend this kit. It gives you a change up from the regular sports cars that we're used to, and it's a very satisfying build that I think turns out looking really good. So let me know in the comments if you have this one. Let me know if you have a real life K-Truck and which model you have. Let me know what else is cool, and we'll see you in the next review.